just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Don't make fun of my countdown. You used to get mad at me when I didn't do a countdown and I would start the recording. So shut up.
I like a good loud countdown. Today was rather meek and mild. It was odd. 3, 2, 1.
That's not what it sounded like.
That's how it sounded.
That's not what it sounded like. That's not what it sounded like.
This isn't what I wanted to open with also. I had it open for you to give an example of a look that I like and a look that I detest.
What do you mean?
It's this hat, right? You see the hat? Fitted Falcons hat, right? I like wearing it this way, and I think it looks good wearing it this way. I'm never a flat brim guy. I know you have been known to be strictly on the flat brims.
No. Don't.
What am I? No.
That is a.
When you came into college, they were all. I had two hats that had flat brims that I wore because they were snapbacks. There's a difference between a flat brim hat and a snapback. There's a complete difference. People who wear flat brim fitted hats are 38 years old and they think they're 23. Wear a snapback hat that's a little bit different. I always bend the brim. That's my move, right? I think this hat right now looks pretty good. Would you just at least concede that the shape, the structure, all of that?
Is it a new hat? Are you happy that you got a new hat or something?
No. I've had the hat, but sometimes you know me. I like to wear my hats backwards.
Okay,
I'm a bit of a rebel that way.
Yeah, you're really a fashion icon, breaking down your hat preferences.
But with this hat, right? Look at this. Look at it now. When I turn it around backwards.
Yeah, no, you can't. You look like the.
This is a terrible look.
You look like the biggest guy at the bar, taking up 2 seats, and is just so loud that you look like the worst guy in any public setting when you turn the hat around.
This look right here makes me look like I ride a motorcycle. It makes me look like my voice would be about 4 octaves deeper. Like this guy drinks Budweiser, right? This guy right here with the hat this way. This guy drinks Budweiser.
You're trying to paint a picture of someone who's not a terrible person. And only people I know that wear the backwards hat with the big NFL logo are all terrible people. There's some accusations I'd love to throw out there for people who wear hats like that, but I'm not going to say them. But I highly recommend wearing the hat the other way. That's disappointing. That's not a snapback. I don't like the fitted hats.
I've got a ton of snapbacks. Sometimes people give me fitted hats, and it's like, okay, you know what? I really don't try to discriminate a lot with my hats because I have so many, obviously. But these, I think that having no adjustability, because my hair grows fast as hell. I know you don't know what that's like, but constantly I'm having to shift the snaps or shift a little belt. So I prefer having some flexibility with my hat. So for the viewing audience, I will turn it around. For the listening audience, pardon the stupid visual intro.
Please save us. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. Today, we've got our FCS Week 1 preview. I don't know why I didn't do a look ahead to Week 1 until we started doing these notes. I kind of had some hope that we'd have some good games. We don't. We really don't have that many good games, despite there being a million of them. But the slate that we do have today, Sean, that we're talking about, William & Mary versus Campbell, Jackson State, Florida A&M, and then we're also going to be going over Eastern Washington, North Dakota State, which that game is played in Viking Stadium. In the past would be a really fun game to talk about, but I feel like it's kind of lost its shine because Eastern Washington's been struggling the past couple of years. Yeah,
and I mean, I always forget this also. Week 1, Week 2, a lot of FCS versus FBS matchups. And I'm like, oh, FCS football's here. FCS football doesn't really get here till Week 3, Week 4. And you know, on the FBS at least schedules some exciting matchups for Week 1. Like, we'll get to that on the FBS show, but there are some home run games that we will have to talk about. FCS, we got a couple that are like good, watchable, but obviously rooting for the upsets, cheering for the upsets, excited to see if there are any upsets. There has to be, right? There's always one.
Yeah, UNI Iowa State's one that I'm looking at, and then we've got Incarnate Word, UTEP. Both of those games are the two to pay attention to. But staying focused on our FCS matchup, Sean, I want to start us off with William & Mary versus Campbell. Make sure you check out Bet Online for all of your sports betting needs. For anything that I do betting related, I go on over to betonline.ag and I use promo code BELIEVE50. BetOnline has all of the latest updated odds for the NFL and college football seasons. Anything you need, whether it's futures, live in-game betting, no matter what, your football betting needs are met at BetOnline. And again, make sure you use that promo code BELIEVE50, BLEAV50 to get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. I mean, on paper, it's fine. This game is fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of cut to the chase here. William & Mary brings back a lot, and we have talked very highly on William & Mary's defense. I think that they are a top 4 team. Other voters are not as high on the Tribe as I am. Dude, I think that this William & Mary team is going to come out freaking swinging. Campbell got dealt a short-ass hand, having to play William & Mary this year as their first ever CAA game. Man, that is not going to look very, very fun on their history books.
Yeah, I think this William & Mary team is one of the best teams that the CAA has started a season with in recent memory. There are some really good JMU teams that I'm not going to discredit. Delaware had some good teams, but recently this William & Mary
since
team,
the departure of JMU, I think that
I think it might be the best. I think it might be the best that the CAA has rolled out. So welcome to the conference, Campbell. Welcome. Maybe we see something out of Campbell that says, hey, we belong. I do believe they belong in the CAA. I think they have a roster and they recruit incredibly well for being where they are and what the school is. And they have talent. Mike Edwards and Isaiah Green, both at least not on the list, but they were on the Reese Senior Bowl watch list. A couple seniors going into this season, offensive linemen and cornerbacks. So they have talent. I think they're a legit program. I think they're a legit football program. But the CAA has been known when teams infiltrate to eat them up a little bit. Hey, welcome. This is the next tier of FCS football. And you're getting indoctrinated with just a thumper. Welcome. You want to come to the Bronson Yoder show? That's what you want to come to? Get ready to lace them up. Get ready to lace them up. You think you're fast on the edge? You're not as fast as John Pius or Pui. You're just not.
I think it's Pius. Somebody has pointed it out to me that I believe, because it's Pius, and I had no idea. It's one of those things where you just kind of look past because they're used to the other spelling. So apologies to John Pius on that. But
yeah,
you're talking about John Pius, Nate Lynn. Dude, those are two of the best defenders in college football in the FCS level.
And William Mary has a very, very good offensive line. So at every position, Campbell will be tested. And you really also couldn't ask for much of a better litmus test to see how you're going to be coming into the season and see how you're going to be within the conference. You get to go up against the best. You get to get a true evaluation coming out of camp. Hey, now this is what we need to fix in week 2 through 11. So it's a very good starting point test instead of, oh, yeah, we played Stony Brook and their DBs weren't that good. So, and that's just an example. Right. Stony Brook has had some good DBs, and they had a guy that went to the Seahawks UDFA when we played him, Gavin Heslop, who I think just got cut by the Browns, unfortunately. But he was talented. Stony Brook had good DBs, but just an example school. It's going to be a full throttle evaluation on Sunday. Could want to be in the film room. Most likely wouldn't want to be.
Right. I think you bring up a really good point here. So I think like from our projection based on what we know about these teams, like you and I could sit here and say, look, William & Mary, 15 starters coming back. We already know all the top players. We've mentioned all the important pieces. You didn't mention Charles Grant, who I'm a really big fan of on their offensive line. I think is going to be one of the best, if not the best, FCS offensive lineman this year. All that stuff is setting up Campbell for a brutal matchup. But at the same time, I think what's really important to take away here for Campbell fans, and like this is kind of the positive spin on it, is exactly what you said. Instead of jumping in, you're playing Monmouth or NCA&T or Hampton, some of those other newer CAA teams. That's not really a true test. That's not really an opportunity to like really figure out how you're going to match up throughout the season. Instead, you're jumping right in and you're facing off against the best team. look, if you get smacked, that's how you figure out what you need to work on, how you can match up and play against the lesser teams instead of thinking to yourself the whole season, oh, we can maybe match up with so-and-so or so-and-so, and then you get blindsided after you've built some momentum. Get this game out of the way. If you play them close, that's going to be a true litmus test for how capable you are to compete with the rest of the conference. Use this as a learning opportunity if it doesn't go well, or come out and fight. Campbell has been a team that has showed up to fight when they need to. It's kind of like, though, when we've had to play JMU later on in the schedule, though, in our time at Rhode Island, where you're kind of just looking at the schedule and you're like, wow, we're beating Delaware, we're beating Stony Brook, we're beating Albany, and it's like we're looking really good this year, but we know where JMU is down the line. You get that out of the way. You don't have to worry about that looming issue.
Yeah, and that's God, I forgot all about that. Where it's like, okay, we're kind of in the thick of it. We're kind of battling for that, the playoff or battling for the winning record, whatever it is. And then end of the season, always in November, JMU. And it's just like, oh, well, this week, everyone's beat to hell. You got a fresh team, too. You got a fresh team coming in this game. It is not November football aches and pains yet. So that'll be that'll be a bonus for Campbell as well.
So we're back-to-back weeks for talking about Jackson State. They have FAMU for their second game of the season after the MEAC SWAC battle that they had against SC State. Look, I'm going to repeat this, and this is most of my analysis. After we saw how good Jason Brown looked, and we've been reassured that this is the same guy that played at St. Francis. I always mix up St. Francis and Sacred Heart. This is the same guy that was recruited to go play at the top FBS programs, and here he is back, and he's ready to dominate. And you could kind of see him slowly getting more and more comfortable. FAMU is one of the best HBCU programs. SC State's a fine team, and we just saw that they weren't as competitive as Jackson State. But as much as, and we talked about this on the last show, that we were kind of patting ourselves on the back and saying, hey, we were right about picking Jackson State and saying that they should be a ranked team or at least close on the outside looking in. This is a way to really prove that, because I also had FAMU in my rankings. They're always going to be a really, really well-coached program. They're always a team that there's a random NFL draft, late draft prospect, Senior Bowl guy that creeps up. Isaiah Land's gone. I understand that that's going to be a hurdle for them to deal with, but they're always a really, really well-coached team that we can get exposure to. Is FAMU the real deal, or is Jackson State the real deal in this game?
Yeah, you're using "we" a lot, and maybe we're gonna have to start breaking down. We're gonna have to start breaking down some show titles, because I saw you took some liberties on the week 0 recap.
Hey man, I want people to click into the video. Is that I don't care. I'll say that I'll clickbait a little bit. I want people to watch the goddamn videos.
I know, and I think it's good for that. But put Jackson State quarterback Jason Brown on the Walter Payton watch list is kind of crazy for week 0 recappage.
I'm putting him on the watch list.
If LSU,
if he does it back-to-back weeks, what are we doing?
I got you. I understand. I think that Jason Brown is an incredibly talented. Tuck your chin away. Don't you stick your chin at me like that. Here's what's going to happen. I can promise you that if you follow Hack City. No matter which team wins Florida State LSU, it's either going to be Jordan Travis or Jaden Daniels, Heisman finalist. That's what it's going to be.
I promise you, if one of them does that, no, I'm not that much of a hack. I'm not going to do that. But I play into the title of the channel, man. I don't care.
Let's
talk about this game. Let's talk about this game.
Yeah, Jackson State did. They played really well in their week 1 game. SC State, though, not good last year, not good this year. They're just not a good team. FAMU, always going to be competitive, always going to be a pretty fiery squad. Also, not in the business of enjoying getting blown out. If they do get blown out, they are a team that fight. They play with some pride, and I think Jackson State does also. So it's going to be a little bit different. And before, I'm not saying SC State doesn't, but FAMU is a pretty gritty program. They have been pretty gritty since we've started covering them. So Jackson State, it's going to be a little more buckle up this game, but I'm expecting them to repeat. I'm expecting them to carry over what they did in week 0 to week 1, or for some people, week 1 to week 2 for them. It just has to. It can't be emotional dump. We just, look, we won. We did it. We did it without Prime. You gotta stay pretty level. You can't do the emotional dump after a big win or a big loss. That's what catches teams. It does catch teams pretty big. It's just getting way too invested in one singular game. And every game does matter, but the investment level emotionally can hurt a team if they lose perspective on the next week. Yeah. Celebrate that night. Sunday, back to work.
And Brown is going to be, and I know that we talked about how Mulligan's a great player. Brown's going to be really tested here. This defense for FAMU is going to be a lot better than the SC State one. The name that they have for it, I think, is one of the most badass names for a defense. It's not like that stupid Colgate one when there was like the red blanket or whatever when we first started doing this show. The Dark Cloud defense is the name of the FAMU defense.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Some of the players that they have that were all conference on that defense. Again, I already mentioned how, look, Isaiah Land's gone, but they might not have highly draftable guys like Land was in that conversation. They still have, as we just spent the past couple of minutes talking about, really well-coached, well-rounded players. Isaiah Major, really talented linebacker, Javon Morgan, and then Kendall Bowler are the three that I had written down. Major is an awesome name for a linebacker. I'm obsessed with guys with names that fit their position. And then the last piece of this, Jeremy Musa is also a big name player for this game for FAMU. Their starting quarterback. He was the starter last year. He was a transfer from Vanderbilt. Got an NFL-type frame. He's got the skill set to continue to lead this team, and he was a big reason why they were successful in various games last year. So they've got all the pieces. I think that we talked a lot about Jackson State and their expectations for 2023. A lot of transfer portal guys coming in. We saw that they looked cohesive, but how cohesive are they against a team that's returning a group that's already been playing together at a very high level?
Yeah. I'm looking at some FAMU gear right now, seeing if I can get a Dark Cloud defense shirt.
Do they make them?
I'm looking. I will be on the hunt for some FAMU gear because that is awesome. I mean, their regular stuff is really good also. I mean, it's pretty good. Do you have a FAMU shirt?
I do have a FAMU shirt.
Yeah, I thought you did. This is a pretty cool sweater, too.
It was a cool shirt. I got it off of Mitchell and Ness. All right, stop getting distracted.
Nice.
Final points before we talk about EWU, NDSU.
Let's just get right to EWU. I mean, Jackson State did the worst thing they could do, and that's raise my expectations right through the roof. So I'm sure if they lose, I will be ready to come down on them.
All right, time to talk about EWU. Eastern Washington versus North Dakota State. They're playing at Viking Stadium. Don't act like you haven't heard that a million times.
Hey! I don't watch that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Eastern Washington.
No. I watch cool stuff. I watch cool fighting and all that.
Cool anime girls.
No, not anime girls. No.
Sure. Eastern Washington is going to face off against a highly ranked North Dakota State team that has a lot of question marks coming into this game. Eastern Washington, we know, always has an exciting offense, always puts up a lot of points. New quarterback who is going to be a nightmare for us to pronounce. Kakoa Vesperis is my guess on the pronunciation. One of the funny things that I found doing my research on this game that I thought was freaking awesome, the total sicko move, their backup quarterback, Michael Wortham, who transferred from a lower level program, is going to be their kick returner. How many schools do you know that have that good of a backup quarterback that is that much of an athlete that they can return kicks? But outside of the gimmicks, it's kind of a young team. They're starting 3 redshirt sophomores in their secondary. Are they going to really do much against the Bison? I don't know. I don't think so.
Very different teams. I miss the days of Gunnar Talkington, who I believe had the best football name in at least last year. That's the best. Tony Muskett, go screw. Gunnar Talkington by a million. It's the best. So Eastern Washington's kind of getting the Campbell treatment here. Kakoa Vesperas, go ahead. Show us what you got. And North Dakota State, you got to look out for Efton Chisholm III and Blake Goebel for Eastern Washington, the two main receiving targets. Just Eastern Washington, the names. It's
Efton Chisholm III. That's so awesome. Sorry, continue.
He's their leading receiver. He's expected to be their number one target, and Goebel the number 2 target. So obviously, all camp, North Dakota State's been keying off on those two guys. Like that's just what they're practicing for. I expect them to be incredibly well prepared. Eastern Washington, you might have to gimmick it up. You might have to do some week 1 stuff. You might have to get some special teams. Broken record every year. Week 1 special teams. That's going to decide some games big time, because you don't think it's a big part of the game until you're getting 7 points off of it for a muffed punt, kickoff return touchdown. Maybe you'd even do a fake punt. Figure it out. Do something with special teams. Make your field goals. You got to play all 3 phases of the game to keep up with North Dakota State, because they're North Dakota State. There's not much more. I mean, they consistently load and reload talent on their roster, and they're going to be ready. They're coached well. They're disciplined. They do the little things right. Eastern Washington either create chaos, which I'm looking for my chaos team of the year. I'm officially looking for my chaos team of the year. That is a team that I will follow more than the top 5. I will take FCS listener recommendations for what team they believe will create the most chaos. But Eastern Washington's either got to play incredibly tight or incredibly chaotic to stay in this one.
Yeah, and one main thing that's always the focus for me in games like this is that we know that North Dakota State is just built different up front. Eli Mostart is a really good defensive tackle, and then on the offensive side of the ball, Jalen Sundell has been recognized as a Senior Bowl watch list guy, a guy that I was really, really excited about when I was watching some film this summer. This is going to be one along the line of scrimmage, is just how does Eastern Washington physically match up? Can they slow down Tamarick Williams and this rushing attack to
Gonna be tough.
Some sort of an extent? And look, I'm going to be completely blunt, as we've been doing a lot this season. I think we've been doing a better job of just being really direct. Eastern Washington hasn't exactly been a team that's got the bodies to stop a team like North Dakota State up front. The one thing that I found really interesting, and I'm such a big fan, Sean, of websites that have paywalls that have important information that I can't read. Forum published an article that I wanted to read talking about the possibility for a little bit of a quarterback rotation. I, of course, cannot read that, but it sounds like Cam Miller, just going off of that, might not be playing all the snaps in this game. I feel like this might just be a motivation ploy, but I'm going to go with this angle. I want to see what Cam Miller can do. Can he look a little bit more composed? Can he look a little bit more comfortable in this game, and maybe build some momentum from a good performance?
I feel you. I just caved to the Athletic for $1 a month for the next year. Finally caved. Just so much prep is front. I think there's enough stories that create prep. So that was just if it was 2 a month, then it would have been a no-go. But $1.
Can I point out the irony in this? And so you bought that for your producer role for a job that you produce 3 senior national college football reporters. Why don't you just read their articles?
I do. I look, God forbid Sean's trying to get some content.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that sounded funny. I'm just it's not like you're doing that for, because normally you do that for like players that are hosting a show that maybe aren't doing as much homework, or radio hosts that aren't doing as much homework.
I'll be honest, and this
sounds funny.
This seems like hypocrisy. I don't care very much for players hosting a show.
Well, wait.
I like broadcasters.
Pardon my French, then what the fuck are we doing now?
That's why I said pardon the hypocrisy. I think we're good at it. I think everyone else sucks.
Yeah.
I'm obviously Hack City take there. So do not, Dustin Helton, before you start pitching a tent at the idea of me sounding outlandish, calm down and understand the Hack take. Lose tongue in cheek. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you all season, Helton. I'm on you. I'm on you all season.
God, this rivalry that you've created with Dustin Hilton, I'm all for it. Sean, let's pick these games and get out of here.
What's the current score?
It's these nuts.
That's what I thought.
You're up 3-0. I'm down 2-1.
So I'm undefeated.
Well, your dumbass put one of the worst picks possible that's going to help me regain that lead. All right, here we go. William and Mary Campbell. Who you got?
William and Mary.
Obviously, William and Mary. Jackson State, FAMU.
Jackson State.
I'm changing my mind. Give me FAMU. Eastern Washington, North Dakota State.
North Dakota State.
Give me the Bison. Been eating a lot of ground bison lately, by the way. I keep forgetting to bring that up. South Dakota State, Nichols.
I can't even do a Joe Rogan bit because your first name's Joe. I either call you Joe Rogan or Joe DeLeone. I hate you. I can't even do a funny bit with that. You stink. You're awful.
Sac State, Nichols.
Sac State. Who do you think you are?
Sac State as well. It's good. I don't know if you've tried ground bison.
He kills his own and his elk and all that stuff.
Don't
give me a break.
Killing a bison is not physically possible to do one-on-one. Furman, Tennessee Tech.
You know nothing about bison. I'm taking Tennessee Tech.
You do?
Let's start it off. Let's just start the season off with a bang. Tennessee Tech. I'm going with an upset early.
We're the next two. We're on a 2-for streak of great spelling by Joe in the doc. I picked Firma to beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech stinks. Stop
Tennessee
picking your dad's team, you loser. This is
Stop saying Texas Tech.
Tennessee Tech. I'm gonna put Tennessee Tech on this doc every single week because it's bait. It is easy bait. You're so easy to bait. Delaware. Well, I spelled Delaware wrong twice.
I'm sure I'm easy to bait. Buy more Notre Dame gear, you sucker.
Delaware Stony Brook. I spelled Delaware wrong twice. Delaware Stony Brook.
Delaware.
I spelled it Delaware. I'm also picking Delaware. UNH Stonehill.
UNH.
I'm also going with UNH. Merrimack Holy Cross. What?
My least favorite part of FC Estimates every year is you making yourself laugh with your poor spelling. Every single year. I think you've evolved a lot as being able to host a show, carry topics, all that. But you're just a simpleton.
I'm not a simpleton. God forbid a man has a sense of humor.
Oh, yeah. UNH Stonehill. You're awful. UNH.
Merrimack, Holy Cross.
Holy Cross.
Holy Cross as well. Drake, North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Drake. Give me North Dakota. Morgan State, Richmond.
Richmond.
I'm also going with Richmond as well. All right, that's going to be it from us. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio. We will be back. Drop a comment, hit subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your week.